All right, let's get more on this with Conservative leadership contender Peter MacKay, and he joins us now. And thank you very much. So I guess first off, let me get your reaction to this breaking news we were just talking about in the concerns the finance minister, Bill Morneau, whose two daughters have connections to We Charity.
Well, the plot thickens, as the expression goes, and this is, again, a senior member of the Trudeau cabinet who would have also been part of the decision-making, who is in a conflict of interest, who is breaching that public trust, that expectation that those in positions of power should not be making these decisions that have a direct impact on them or people close to them. And that's at the crux of this issue, is what is the expectation of public office holders here?
And then so we know the ethics commissioner is looking into this, but to move that to a call for the RCMP to get involved, to find out if there's, if it's a criminal case, tell me what you think is the difference between the ethics rising to the bar of now calling in the police.
Well, there is a criminal code section, section 122, that deals directly with public office holders and a breach of trust. Interestingly, this was the section of the code that was used to persecute, and I say persecute, Admiral Mark Norman. And it would appear, a strict reading of that definition in the criminal code, that there is mounting evidence. And I suggest that an investigation would be appropriate here. I made the same suggestion when it came to SNC-Lavalin. And I believe that what the Prime Minister has done here has certainly fallen below the expectations that one would have for the exercise of authority by a public office holder, which the Prime Minister clearly is, and the benefits that could be conferred upon members of his family. So this is a direct benefit of his close family, his brother, his mother, and of course his wife, although that may have happened outside his time in office.
The Bloc has said that they believe that he should step aside, that the Deputy Prime Minister should take over. Do you believe in that too? Do you think that should happen?
Well, that's unlikely to happen. Let's be clear. He's never admitted any responsibility. He's, in fact, virtue signaled and suggested this was always in the public good. I think it's time that we delved a little deeper. Whether he does or he doesn't, I think that has no bearing on whether an investigation should occur. But it may come to that. And it may be a situation where the ethics counselor will have to suspend his particular investigation and make way for a police investigation.
And if there is no police investigation and it just goes to the ethics commissioner, and again, if the ethics commissioner finds that there was a violation, are we back to the situation where there's just no sanctions?
That's right. And I think that there has to be a review of what the capability of the ethics counselor is to have actual bite here, to have sanctions that matter. We brought in the Federal Accountability Act, as you'll recall, when we were in government. I think it's time to beef that up, and I think it's time to return to the emphasis on transparency, on openness, on the necessity of public office holders to reach a much higher standard. That's what this is about, is ethical performance, protecting the public, including the public purse, and we clearly need a much higher level of public ethics when it comes to the highest office in the land.
And you want that highest office in the land. You're running to become Prime Minister, leader of the Conservatives first and then Prime Minister. What would you do to change that?
Well, as I said, I think it's time to bring back the Accountability Act, look at giving more powers to the office of the ethics counselor, the conflicts of interest counselor, improving that legislation so that there are actual sanctions and deterrents, and in some cases, perhaps even the removal from public office, given the seriousness of a breach.
And in terms of the ethics commissioner, in 2018, Mario Dion said that the ethics commissioner should have more latitude to impose possibly sanctions. That didn't happen. What about that as a change?
Well, that's part of the change, is giving more latitude, more ability to investigate, more budget. And we know that while certain government offices, including the Deputy Prime Minister's offices, have been afforded greater budget, that wasn't the case for the necessary parliamentary budget offices, including that of the Ethics Commissioner. And so those are ways in which we can ensure the public is protected. We can ensure that when we have a three-time offender, which may turn out to be the case if Mr. Trudeau was found guilty yet again of breaching the ethics, then there would be an actual cost and a price to pay. That's what the public want. That's what happens in our criminal justice system. That's what happens to people in the general public. And we don't want to create a situation which appears to be evolving where public office holders are held to a different standard than the general public, than the regular person on the street, Canadians.
And Pierre, before I let you go, how would you categorize this controversy, if not scandal, compared to the previous ethics commissioner's investigations when he was in trouble before?
Well, as you know, the Aga Khan investigation, which resulted in a guilty finding, was again about personal behavior and benefit to the Prime Minister. He tried to couch it in it being a personal friend. The SNC-Lavalin case, of course, I still believe was a very serious breach of ethics and, again, potential criminal sanctions of interference in the administration of justice. And this similarly has that overtone of a feeling of unaccountability, a feeling of entitlement, a sense that the rules don't apply because I am the Prime Minister. That's what the Prime Minister appears to be saying here. But let's let this investigation unfold. Let's deal with facts and evidence. And then let's look at how we improve legislation and improve accountability in this country. That's really what it comes down to, Beverly. It's a call for accountability, greater transparency, and surely the public have been shaken. There is cynicism. We want greater trust in office holders.
Conservative leadership candidate Peter MacKay, I'm glad you could join us this afternoon. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you. My pleasure, Beverly.